If you visit the Manenji Buddhist temple in Japan today, you are permitted to look at their most famous artifact, but the monks strictly enforce the rules of the room. You cannot take photographs, and you are strongly warned against staring at it for too long. The reason for these warnings is a premise that seems biologically impossible, that this artifact isn't just a cursed object, but a vessel that has somehow become alive. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to 1918. The Suzuki family lived a humble life. They were a poor, working-class family struggling to make ends meet in early 20th century Japan. 17-year-old Iki adored his little sister, Kikuko. She was about to turn 4, and Iki desperately wanted to give her a memorable birthday. He spent an entire month taking on odd jobs, saving every spare coin he could find to buy her a gift. The intense dread surrounding the artifact today stands in sharp contrast to its origin. It all began entirely from a place of pure, innocent, brotherly love. One afternoon, passing a shop window, Iki spotted a traditional Japanese doll. It wore a vibrant red kimono and had sharp, perfectly cut black hair resting right at its neckline. He bought it immediately. Kikuko was ecstatic. She named the doll Okiku. From that day on, the two were inseparable. Kikuko brushed its hair, slept next to it, and carried it everywhere she went. The joy was violently cut short. While playing outside, Kikuko was bitten by a mosquito and contracted a severe strain of malaria. The fever rapidly consumed her tiny body. When she took her final breath, she was clutching the Okiku doll tightly to her chest. Japanese custom at the time dictated a specific death rite. To allow a soul to move on peacefully, the deceased's favorite worldly possession was required to be cremated alongside their body. The family approached the local temple, but the monks denied them permission to burn the doll. With no other choice, the grieving parents placed the Okiku doll on a memorial shelf right in the center of their living room. By interrupting that crucial cultural rite of detachment, they unknowingly prevented the soul from moving on. They had inadvertently provided a physical anchor, trapping an unseen entity inside their home. The anomaly started quietly. Late at night, Iki began waking up to faint whispers echoing from the hall, followed by the distinct sound of a little girl laughing in the dark. Then came the physical disturbances. One afternoon, he returned to an empty house, windows tightly locked from the inside, to find Kikuko's old drawings scattered in a perfect circle around the doll. As Iki went to place the doll back on its shelf, he noticed an impossible physical change. The doll's hair, which had originally stopped exactly at the neckline, now draped fully past its shoulders. Looking closer, the details defied all logic. The hair was losing its deep black dye. It was taking on a natural brown hue, and at the very tips, the strands were fraying into actual organic split ends. Whatever inhabited the home had crossed a terrifying threshold. It had progressed from manipulating the environment to biologically altering the physical vessel from the inside out. Desperate for a logical explanation, Iki's mother completely dismissed his fears. She took a pair of shears and simply cut the doll's hair back up to its neck. It was a fatal mistake. That very night, she fell into a deep nightmare. She saw Kikuko weeping bitterly in the dark, but as she reached out, her daughter's tearful face violently snapped into the cold, emotionless features of the Okiku doll. She jolted awake, screaming. The physical doll was no longer on the shelf. It was sitting directly on her chest in the pitch black. The family had reached their breaking point. The next day, Iki's father took the doll out to an empty, distant field and buried it deep in the dirt to end the terror. Hours later, as the family huddled together in one room, the entire house shook. Something was violently, rhythmically slamming against the front door with the force of an earthquake. His father slowly opened the door. The doll stood right on the threshold. Before he could react, thick lengths of hair shot upward, snaking around his throat and crushing his windpipe. The man fell to his knees, suffocating. In sheer panic, Iki screamed out his dead sister's name. Instantly, the grip released, and the doll clattered to the floor, completely lifeless. After seeing the doll return from the grave to nearly kill the father, the message was clear. The entity demanded absolute submission to its presence. using lethal force to punish any attempt to alter or destroy its physical vessel. This timeline tracks the haunting from 1918 to 1938, 20 years of absolute purgatory for the Suzuki family. Extreme spikes in paranormal violence precisely align with Kikuko's birthday. Desperate, they sought exorcisms. But secondary data shows spiritual intervention only infuriated the entity, multiplying the violence tenfold. Utterly broken by the haunting, the family finally abandoned their home in 1938. They permanently surrendered the doll to the monks at the Manenji Temple. Human intervention could not break a curse this deep. The family learned that they could only isolate the danger and walk away. Well over a century has passed since Kikuko died, yet the object remains at the temple today, and the monks are still forced to periodically trim its constantly growing human hair. But temple visitors have recently noticed a new, deeply unsettling mutation. The doll's lips, which were originally painted completely shut, are slowly beginning to part. Through that tiny gap, observers have documented jagged, uneven human teeth pushing their way up from inside the porcelain. It leaves us with a chilling question. Did a botched funeral ritual trap an innocent 4-year-old child inside this wooden frame? Or did something older and far more sinister feed on a family's unbearable grief to slowly grow itself a brand new body?